Okay, so back with episode 60 of the 10-6 Diaries. So this has been going on for quite a while. I did think it would be done a lot sooner than it has been, but that's just how things go. Sometimes you just have to keep at it, be consistent, be persistent, and it will pay off in the long run, or hopefully at least. But we'll find out, I guess, this season. I really have a good feeling with where training is currently, because I've had a lot of good positives this week. There's a slight scare with some hamstring tightness on the Monday, so I did some hundreds on the grass. I put on my spikes that have like a long pins in them and ran the hundreds. After the first rep, my hamstring felt a little tight. I still did the next rep because I was doing it at quite a reduced intensity anyway. I was wanting to run at about 90%, and 90% on grass. I think realistically, for the kind of quality of the surface, for the time of year, for all of this factored in, probably 12 seconds would be like my absolute all-out 100 on the grass. Probably the way I'm measuring it, maybe 11.8 at a push. But yeah, I don't think I would be much faster than that if I'm going as fast as I can, just because the quality of the surface, as I say, a bit too mushy, not really what I would be looking for in optimal sprint surfaces, certainly. But I was wanting to use it as a way to just try and reduce the load on my lower body a little bit, just to really ease back into things. And yeah, hamstring tightness, even running at this really low intensity. I think it was just from the jumps on the Saturday. So obviously Saturday I did some long jumps. This was the Monday sprint session, running some hundreds, some 90% hundreds, as I say. So yeah, just have to be careful with that. That's going to be the one thing with having long jumps in the training, is just that there's an added risk of injury, because long jump is just so intense on the hamstring, on specifically the hamstring you're jumping from. So that's one thing, as I say, I do need to just be cautious and cognizant of. I have had a little issue in the past. I did some long jump very informally for like, I want to say I did it 2 or 3 weeks in a row consecutively after training, after doing some sprints. I was just going to use like the long jump pit. I didn't really think much of it. I wasn't really accounting for this extra volume. On top of that, I wasn't really eating enough, probably student diet, not cooking enough, not eating enough, that sort of thing. Had exams, so there's all these like stresses that were impacting on things. And then yeah, pulled my hamstring doing some sprints. It was a really bad pull as well, actually. It was a grade 2, so up there with sort of the worst hamstring pulls that I've ever had, worst injuries. I don't know if worst injury I've ever had was a double quad pull from running a 100 when I was 18 with like no training on grass. It was a cold day. I don't even think I really warmed up for it well, and I pulled both quads simultaneously, and then I still did. It was like I can't remember, what would you call it, like a heptathlon maybe. I think there was like 6 events, maybe something like that. But yeah, I still did like the other events and did reasonably well, but that's like the worst injury I've had. Anyway, I digress too much. So that was Monday session. I then did the lift still. I was quite confident that I would be able to still lift without the hamstring causing much of an issue, because I've just never really had issues in the weight room with muscle pulls. I just don't think the velocities are quite fast enough. I'm not really at a high enough level maybe as well to get injuries in the weight room, certainly. So I didn't think it would be an issue, and yeah, it wasn't really an issue. I just had to adjust some things slightly. I even think I did the Romanian deadlifts, which is a very hamstring dominant exercise. I did not do them the way they were intended, which was a fast lower, because I knew that would just potentially cause issues and would also just make my hamstrings more sore for the next sprint session. So I just want to take it a little bit easy. So that was the plan with that. And then yeah, my Wednesday session I decided to move to Thursday, so I just took an extra day, and I spoke with John about this. So I decided that I was going to switch the training about a little bit. So I wanted to so I obviously did my sprints Monday, general day Tuesday. I then just took a day off on Wednesday, I really think I might have been good enough to actually have done the sprints on the Wednesday, but it was just a precaution I wanted to take. I didn't want to push anything too hard too soon and cause any issues. I did want to just focus on being healthy, making sure that I'm actually getting quality reps. So I really built up slowly on the Wednesday session, which was on the Thursday now, because as I say, changed the schedule up. I don't really need to necessarily follow a week-long structure, so I'm curious to see how this sort of progression is going to progress over the next few weeks, because it's a very different training structure to what I've done in the past. There's a lot more rest, and it's the days I feel like are a lot more intense, and I'm focusing on higher quality work, which is nice. So yeah, just have to wait and see how this progresses. But certainly, as I say, like, things have been going very well. Even on the Wednesday, like, working up to 90% on the sprints. I think I got 3:13 on the 3-lap, and with the video it looked to be around about 3:13, 3:14, so very good sprint speed for the time of year. First session spiked up on a track, so that's very good as well. On top of that, still have to add super spikes into the mix. Once I put those on, I do think they give me a slight edge. I'm not really sure how much, but we shall find out. Plan is to just keep going with regular spikes until I get to 10 meters per second. That's my goal. So hopefully by the end of this training cycle, I'm going to achieve that, and we shall move on to running in super spikes. And that's the idea behind that. And then my final session was on the Sunday, so obviously after the Thursday, did some lifts, had quite an intense day, did a general day, rest day, then boom, Sunday was the sprints and the jumps. So it was some 40s, 5x40, followed by some long jumps, some 8-step long jumps. I did 8-step long jumps, and yeah, produced some decent results. Speed wise is looking all right, not really amazing. I think it was 5:25 no reaction time my way of timing, which was like 5:19 on the 3-lap, and I believe that I could be, and I think that's about technically 0.25 would be about 0.2 off my all-time 40 meter PR that I achieved. I've actually hit that time a few times, both indoors and outdoors. I don't think I've gone faster than 5.05, but yeah, good time certainly nonetheless. To start off with, it's obviously a 3-point start, very early still in the training plan, and still building back that elastic volume that I think is going to be the main catalyst in helping improve my performance in both jumps and sprints. So that's, I think I'm in a good solid place with where things are at currently. And yeah, that's how the sprints went. Jumps 5:95 from the front of my foot, which was 5:81 I believe from the front of the board. So not terrible. 8-step jumps, skipping 8 steps. I think that's going to be my strategy, is use the skipping, go from there. So like next week's going to be 10-step with a skipping, and yeah, happy with how the long jumps went. They felt good. I think there's still some further optimization. I do think just getting the reps in is going to just help out a lot. I've not really jumped off one foot in years. I think the last time I jumped off one foot was 2023 really. Since then I've not done much in the way of 1-foot jumps, and even when I did jump off 1 foot in 2023, it was a very sporadic period of a few weeks. So yeah, still obviously, as I say, building that 1-foot capacity up, and I think there's just a lot of untapped potential with both just gaining speed, gaining confidence on the runway, finding a rhythm. I did feel like I was starting to get into a good rhythm, certainly by the end of the session. The start and even the middle of the session felt quite flat, but then I did, as I say, start to build that rhythm. I think also as well with the landing, there is probably a solid, I'd say 20 to 30 centimeters on the table if I fix the landing, because I'm landing still relatively upright. So yeah, and then obviously I did the lifts after that. Again, it was a very intense day. I should have brought some sort of snack, maybe some carbs, just to fuel up a little bit before the lifts, because I started to feel like very, very hungry by the time I got onto the hang power cleans, and I think that just then impacted the quality. I then failed on the squats, as you'll see, for the first set of 135 kilos. Got the second set though, but it was a very grindy set. I could definitely feel the fatigue from doing the sprints and jumps beforehand was really starting to set in. And then finished the workout with the hip thrusts, or the single leg glute bridges. So good productive week. Some slight issues along the way, but troubleshooting the issues and looking forward to just seeing how this training cycle progresses. I've had a good start to this week so far, and that's really about it. So I'll see you in next week's video, and be on the lookout for it.